So I've been using the Sony A7S3 for about 2 years now, and I still think it's the best camera out there for solo filmmakers. Today we're going to cover all of its capabilities and why I still think this camera it's the best choice out there in 2023. The quality overall of this camera since 2 years ago, when I started using it, when I switched from the Sony A7 III to the Sony A7S3, it didn't change at all. I still think this is a great camera. I still think this quality that comes out of this camera, it's literally the best you can get. And I've worked with other cameras like the Canon R5C from a friend of mine. I work with a Sony FX6, FX3, and I still think the quality is up there with all of these new nice cameras. And one thing that I love about this camera, it's definitely the battery life. It lasts forever. Doesn't matter if you're recording 4K, in 4K 60, in 4K 120. I never, in any shoots, I never had to use more than 2 batteries throughout the whole day. Unless you're continuously rolling for interviews, then the thing might change. But in any given shoot in the last 2 years, I think the most I used was 3 batteries because it was a very hot day. Otherwise, 2 batteries, that's all you need. It's compact, it's lightweight, but you can also rig it up like I do most of the time with a nice top handle, with a monitor on top, with a side handle, with an extra battery in the back if you want, and just add extra weight to have that nice smooth handheld feeling. But if you want to put it on a gimbal, you just simply screw out everything, put it on a gimbal, run and gun it on a gimbal. It's easy as that. And this is what I love about this camera, and this is why I've been shooting all of my commercial projects, all of my passion projects, most of them, on this camera. And to be honest, unless the FX6 Mark II comes out, I'm actually not looking to change this camera anytime soon. Talking about frame rate, it's literally everything you could ask for. You even get 240 frames per second at 1080. Like, who uses 240 frames per second? I never even tried it, to be honest, because I never film anything that deserves that kind of slow motion. The most I use is 120 at 4K, and it looks beautiful, especially with the highest codec, which I explained in another video that if you want to watch, just gonna link it up here. But it's really important to understand the codecs of this camera because that makes a lot of difference as well. Aside from that, I mostly shoot everything at 24 or 30 frames per second, and sometimes if I need slow motion at 60, but usually 24. It's my way to go, it's my frame rate, and it's the one that looks the best on this camera in my opinion. Some camera might have some sort of rolling shutter at 24 frames per second, but to be honest, with this one, I noticed a very, very, very small one. So you really don't have to worry about it. If you do any fast-paced shot or you swooping the camera left and right, that's pretty much not running shutter. So definitely that's something you have to keep in mind and you don't have to worry about. I mentioned the gimbal before and I want to cover stabilization. Stabilization in this camera is actually pretty amazing because it's in body and then there's a bunch of lenses with stabilization. If you match the two, like the one I have right now, I have a Sigma 24-70 stabilize and the in-body stabilization, you get this beautiful smooth image, and even with a handheld run and gun, if you're moving around, it doesn't look too jittery. The corners are not too wobbly, so it's a very, very nice look. Just keep in mind you have 2 different kinds of stabilization. You have standard and active. And to be honest, for my likings, I find that standard is a lot better. I find that active, it's a little bit too much, and especially on a gimbal, it might look a bit jittery. So I feel like standard, it's kind of in the middle for a handheld. And when I put it on gimbal, I don't have to worry about changing my stabilization mode. So test it out for yourself, but standard is usually what I use. Moving on to dynamic range, you get 13 kind of stops in S-Log3. And to be honest, even look at this image, it's perfectly exposed. Behind me, the sky that you can kind of see in the back. And I'm perfectly exposed, obviously, because I have a light here, a key light. But anything outside, I really, really find it easy to balance out the exposure and don't have those shadows too crushed out, but also those highlights too blown out. So it's a very easy camera to play around and understand, especially if you understand S-Log3 well and you're always exposing right, you're always using variable ND filters or just ND filters, it's going to be very easy to balance out everything and just make a very nice image. I mentioned S-Log3 and this is the best color profile you have in this camera. The skin tones are beautiful. absolutely beautiful. And everything else, just all the colors look very nice because the colors are actually taken from the Sony Cinema line, which means that the color science is finally better. I actually edited a short movie shot with Canon R5C and shot with Sony A7S3. And I put it together, and once using the color space transform in DaVinci, both images literally looked the same. So you definitely don't have to worry if you're working with different cameras, and if you're working in DaVinci, because you can use color space transform to match the color science of each camera. There are plenty of cameras out there, and these are only my opinion, but since I got this camera, the Sony A7S3, I am still blown away by the quality, and I just wanted to share with you guys. So if you're thinking about upgrading from a Sony A7 III, A7 IV, whatever the Sony you have, and you want to stay on Sony, A7S III might still be your best bet in 2023. There is rumor that the Sony A7S IV is coming out next year. We don't know, but if it is coming, then obviously it's a big upgrade. But I'm personally just waiting for the Sony FX6 Mark II because I want to switch to a proper cinema camera. But I still believe that if you do wait for this upgrade to come out, you either upgrade to that or you get this one for a cheaper price, and you will see for the next 3-4 years, this camera, it's still gonna match any single need you have. Because the quality, the codecs, the colors, everything together, as we went through in this video, it's up there with the big boys. Thanks guys for sticking around. This was very fun to make, and I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you guys next week in the next video.